Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, and I hope you're doing better, Virgo. So, Virgo, they are watching you. Yes, they are watching you. Not in the uncomfortable surveillance like way that phrase sometimes implies, in the other way. The way that happens when someone or something enters a space and the space responds. When the energy of a room shifts almost imperceptibly, but entirely unmistakably because something has arrived that the room was not expecting and cannot quite categorize, and therefore cannot quite stop paying attention to. That is what you are doing to people right now. Entering spaces physical, energetic, conversational, and changing the quality of what is there simply by being in it, without trying, without performing, without the deliberate cultivation of effect that some people work very hard to produce, and that you are producing simply by being what you are at whatever level you are currently operating at. Take what belongs to you today. What resonates, let it reach past the modesty that immediately wants to explain it away. What does not, release it gently. But for those of you who have felt it recently, that specific, slightly disorienting awareness that people around you are responding to your presence differently, that something in how you are being perceived has shifted, that eyes are finding you in rooms in a way that feels new. This reading is naming exactly what you have been sensing. Something has changed in you. Not on the surface, though the surface may be reflecting it. Something deeper. At the level where the most significant changes always occur in the quality of how you inhabit your own life, how you carry yourself through it, how fully you are present in your own story, rather than slightly beside it, managing it from a careful remove. Something has shifted in that. And the shift invisible to you because you are inside it is entirely visible to everyone around you. Soft sigh. In the symbolic traditions, in the language of archetypes and transformation, and the specific imagery that the soul's great movements have been described through across cultures and centuries, the butterfly in this reading's energy is not incidental. It is the most precise available image for what is happening to you right now. Not the butterfly as a finished thing, not the fully emerged, fully formed, wings extended version that represents the completion of transformation. The butterfly at the moment of emerging, the specific, extraordinary, slightly precarious moment when what was forming inside the chrysalis finally breaks through into the visible world and reveals itself to be something that the caterpillar could not have imagined being. You are in that moment. The emerging and the people around you who have been present through the chrysalis phase without always understanding what they were witnessing are now seeing something break through that they were not fully prepared for. And the shock of it, the specific, genuine, I did not see that coming shock of people encountering a version of you that exceeds what the previous version suggested was coming, is real, is happening, is the thing that Spirit is pressing forward today with such urgency. let me speak about what they are actually seeing, because being told you are being watched without understanding what the watching is responding to is only half the information. What they are seeing is confidence, not the performed kind, the specific, internal, I know who I am confidence that cannot be manufactured and cannot be faked, and that the people around you, however unconsciously, recognize immediately as the real thing, because the real thing has a quality that performance never quite replicates. It sits differently. It moves differently. It occupies space differently, not aggressively, not with the push of someone who is trying to be noticed, but with the quiet, settled authority of someone who has arrived at a genuine relationship with their own worth, who is no longer apologizing for the space they take up, who is simply present fully without the subtle contraction that self doubt tends to produce. And the people around you are responding to it in ways that may have been surprising you, in the quality of attention that finds you now, in the changed texture of how people engage with you, in the specific and slightly disorienting experience of being seen by people who previously looked past you or through you or at a diminished version of you that the previous chapter's self presentation was offering. What they are seeing now is more, considerably more, and the gap between what they expected and what they are encountering is producing the shock that spirit is bringing through today. The mask, the theatrical element in this reading's imagery is falling, or has fallen. The performance of a smaller, more manageable, less threatening to the comfort of others version of yourself that has been the default presentation for longer than it needed to be. The version that edited down the full expression of who you are to a size that felt safer in the rooms you were in. That modulated the impact of your presence so that it did not ask too much of the people around you. That arrived with its own diminishment, pre installed a gift to those who were not ready for the full thing, and a cost to the full thing itself. That performance is over, and what stands in its place, unperformed, unmodulated, entirely itself, is producing reactions in people that the performance never produced. Because performance, however skillful, never produces the specific quality of response that reality does. Reality reaches places performance cannot touch. And the real version of you, finally, fully, without the editorial, is touching places in the people around you that the managed version was always going to miss. Soft sigh. Now let me speak about the specific quality of the watching, because being watched is not a monolithic experience. The watching I feel in the energy of this collective today comes from multiple directions and carries multiple qualities, and it matters to understand what each of them represents. There is the watching of admiration from people who are encountering the emerging version of you and finding it genuinely, without strategic motivation, impressive, moving, worthy of the quality of attention that genuinely remarkable things command. This is the warmest dimension of the watching, and the one that carries the fire energy of the reading, the heat of genuine admiration, of being seen clearly and found extraordinary in the specific and uncalculated way of people who are not trying to produce an effect, but are simply responding to what they see. There is the watching of reconsideration from people who had formed an assessment of you comfortable, underestimating, built from the previous version rather than the current one, and are now, through the evidence of what they are seeing, being required to revise. This watching carries a different quality, the slightly uncomfortable, I need to update my understanding quality of someone whose picture of you has just been disrupted by a reality that exceeds it. And the disruption, however uncomfortable for them, is entirely in your favor. What they are revising toward is a more accurate picture. And the more accurate picture is considerably more impressive than the one it is replacing. And there is the watching of attraction, the specific, involuntary, entirely genuine quality of people who are drawn toward what you are currently emitting, toward the confidence and the realness and the full, unmanaged quality of someone who has stopped performing and started simply being in the specific way that genuine presence draws people. Not because you are trying to attract, because what you are is magnetic in the precise sense, producing in people around you the pull towards something that seems, without their fully understanding why, essential, real, worth moving toward. The financial energy, the abundance symbol in this reading is connected to all of this in a way that Spirit is pressing me to name, because the shift in how you are being perceived is not limited to the relational or the personal. It is rippling into the material dimensions of your life as well, into how you are being assessed professionally, into the specific quality of opportunities that are beginning to find their way toward you, not through your seeking them, but through the magnetic quality of the emerging version of you drawing them in. Abundance tends to follow the specific kind of confidence you are currently carrying. Not because confidence is magical, because confidence produces behavior that produces results. Because the person who is fully present in their own worth makes different choices, takes different steps, occupies different rooms than the person who is partially present and partially apologizing for being there at all. You are occupying different rooms now, and the rooms are responding to what you are bringing into them. With the shock, and I mean that word in its most positive, available sense, the shock of something exceeding expectation that the emerging butterfly always produces in the people who are most accustomed to the caterpillar. Soft sigh. Now I want to speak to you directly about what this moment requires of you. Because being watched genuinely in the way that what you are currently emitting is being watched can produce its own specific kind of discomfort in someone who has spent time in the smaller version. A temptation to contract, to make yourself smaller again, to relieve the intensity of the attention, to perform the modesty that keeps things at the comfortable, familiar, nothing too extreme level that the previous chapter normalized. Resist that temptation. What is being seen is real. What the watching is responding to is not a performance that will eventually reveal its inadequacy. It is you, the actual emerging, finally full size you, and making yourself smaller in response to being seen accurately is not humility, it is a return to the chrysalis. And the chrysalis served its purpose. Its purpose was always to produce the butterfly, not to become the permanent home of something that was always going to need more room than it provided. Stay emerged. Let the watching find you fully out, fully visible, in the complete, nothing contracted, entire wingspan quality of something that has finally broken through into the space it was always designed to occupy. Let the shock of the people around you be what it is, the honest, unstrategic, entirely accurate response of people encountering something they were not prepared for because the previous version of you did not prepare them for this one. That shock is information. The most reliable kind, involuntary, coming from multiple directions, consistent across different people and different contexts. It tells you something about the gap between who you were performing and who you actually are. And the size of the shock tells you the size of the gap, which is to say, considerable. You have been hiding something significant, not deliberately through the accumulated habit of someone who learned at some point that the full expression of who they are was more than the available contexts could comfortably accommodate. And now the contexts are changing. Or you are changing the contexts by choosing different ones. Or both simultaneously, which is what happens when a person steps into their full size. The world reorganizes around the fuller version because the fuller version interacts with it differently and draws different things toward it and occupies it in ways that produce different results. The reorganization is happening. The watching is its early evidence. The shock is its first visible sign. And what comes after the shock, what arrives in the days and weeks ahead as the watching continues and the impact accumulates and the world settles into its new understanding of who you actually are, may genuinely surprise you with its scale. You are being watched by people who are shocked, by people who are admiring, by people who are reconsidering, by people who are drawn towards something they cannot quite name but cannot quite look away from. Give them something worth watching, not as performance, as the simple, complete, fully inhabited expression of who you actually are, which is, it turns out, more than enough, has always been more than enough, and is finally, visibly, undeniably, to everyone around you being seen as exactly that. If this reading found you at exactly the right moment, if something here named what you have been feeling and confirmed that, what you have been sensing in the changed quality of the attention around you is real, stay close, subscribe, and come back. Because the story of the butterfly fully emerged and everything the emergence makes possible is one worth witnessing all the way through. And the next reading will be there for every step of what the watching produces. Take care. See you soon, Virgo. Bye.